Right now at 5, a southeast Kansas town is continuing a 115-year Labor Day tradition. Plus, the latest on a shooting at a Missouri festival. And tensions continue to mount in Afghanistan following the withdrawal of U.S. troops.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A southeast Kansas town is celebrating a 115-year-old tradition. This is KOAM News at 5. Uniontown held their annual Old Settlers Picnic. The day kicked off with a parade featuring area businesses, schools, and first responders. Later, they held a picnic that supported the local schools. One longtime attendee says it's a great way to reconnect with the tight-knit community.
It's a fun reunion, if you will, the Old Settlers. We've attended this for years and years, and you just see old classmates, you renew old acquaintances, you have an excellent parade, you have good food, just good fellowship.
Now, the event's name comes from the town's history due to it being settled back in the 1800s. The Public Service Commission has set a virtual public hearing for Liberty Utilities' rate case. The hearings will be held virtually by WebEx and by telephone conference. They'll also be live streamed on the Commission's website. The hearings are scheduled for November 15th at noon, November 17th at 6, and November 18th at 6. Now, Liberty filed a case on May 28th of this year asking for a rate increase. 3 teenagers and 1 adult were shot late Sunday evening at the St. Callaghan Days Festival in Independence. All of the victims were treated at local hospitals and released by Monday morning, police said. Shortly after 11 p.m. on Sunday, Independence police used social media to urge families to pick up their children from the festival. At 11:20 on Sunday, police reported that there were 3 victims, with that number increasing to 4 early Monday morning. Police said 5 to 7 shots were fired during the incident. 3 of the victims are 16 years old. 1 victim is 25 years old. Independence police said the shooting happened in the carnival area of Santa Callaghan. A beautiful Labor Day out there. Nick Kelly, we owe you a lot today.
Yeah, we owe Mother Nature big for this one, Chris. We actually started out quite chilly this morning because of all the dry air in place, the clear skies and the light breeze, which we're still seeing plenty of from 7th and Range Line from the east side of Joplin. It's nice to keep this dry after we started this holiday weekend out with quite a bit of rain and thunderstorm action on Friday and Saturday, but absolutely nothing throughout the course of the day thanks to high pressure. That's working over the boot heel of Missouri, but still doing its thing and keeping us quiet as this Labor Day evening starts to get underway. But we actually managed to warm up quite a bit, upper 80s to some lower 90s on the board, but everyone's going to fall back through the 80s, down through the 70s with mainly clear skies tonight. We'll drop back to 67, but I am tracking maybe some rain chances on the way, Chris. We'll see how those will play out here in a bit.
The Taliban claims to have control of all of Afghanistan after seizing the last major province in the country. A senior Republican is accusing the Taliban of holding hostage American citizens attempting to leave. CBS's Charlie D'Agata has the latest from Doha, Qatar.
They've been holding out against the Taliban for weeks, a group of resistance fighters defending the rugged mountain valley of Panjshir. After surrounding the region, the Taliban intensified fighting over the weekend and have now raised their flag in an apparent sign of victory. The resistance group's leader, Ahmed Massoud, made a plea to the Taliban that he was now open to peace talks if the Taliban stopped its offensive. When we interviewed him in May, before the Taliban takeover, Massoud said he and his forces would fight to the death.
If the situation goes toward a war, we'll be announced it and we'll be ready. I fight for it, and I'm ready to give my life for it.
Amid the Taliban solidifying their control, senior Republican Foreign Affairs Committee member Michael McCall accused the group of holding Americans hostage.
6 airplanes with American citizens on them as I speak, also with these interpreters, and the Taliban is holding them hostage for demands right now. The state has cleared these flights, and the Taliban will not let them leave the airport.
Satellite photos of the airport in Mazar-e-Sharif, north of Kabul, show 6 passenger planes on the runway. Among 1,000 or so people trying to leave on those planes are dozens of American citizens. All the Taliban would tell us is they're looking into it. With no U.S. presence on the ground in Afghanistan, it's now all in Taliban hands. The Taliban have yet to announce their new government. They say that's coming soon, but then again, they have been saying that for days. In terms of a free and fair election, they say that's not really in sight right now. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is due to arrive here in Doha. This country has been vital in the evacuation of tens of thousands of people from Afghanistan, including several Americans. Charlie Daggett, CBS News, Doha, Qatar.
American officials are confirming for the first time that the U.S. has helped a U.S. citizen and family members to escape Afghanistan through an overland route to a neighboring country. Details of which country are being kept secret for security reasons and the need to preserve the possible route for more evacuations. Still ahead on the KOAM News at 5, a new study reviews the impact of air pollution on your health. Plus,
why even the little ones need to unplug and hit the books. I'm Elise Preston with more on the link between screen time and reading.
A new report finds air pollution is cutting down the life expectancy of billions of people around the world. The University of Chicago's Energy Policy Institute published its annual Air Quality Life Index Wednesday. Researchers looked at countries with levels of air pollution that were below standard. They found life expectancy for the people in those countries was slashed by more than 2 years on average. The top 5 countries with the most number of years lost were all in Asia. According to the report, air pollution is a greater threat to life expectancy than smoking, war, or diseases like HIV and AIDS. Parents often struggle to put limits on how much time their children spend on screens. And new research shows why that battle could make a difference that lasts a lifetime. Elise Preston has the story.
Rachel Wall and her family live in London, where the kids enjoy lots of time outdoors, but they also enjoy their screen time.
Some mornings it's, I want a show right now. And I've learned as a parent, if I give in, it becomes a daily request.
Instead, she tries to encourage more reading, and a new study in Canada shows why it's a crucial balance.
Reading is actually quite foundational and predictive of a lot of outcomes for children.
Brianne MacArthur is a clinical psychologist. Her research identified a vicious cycle between screen time and reading.
What we found was that children who were using higher levels of screen time at age 2 were having lower levels of reading at age 3, which then predicted higher levels of screen use at age 5.
During the pandemic, it was harder than ever to limit screen time, especially with many schools switching to remote learning. Now, families are struggling to get back on schedule.
The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends for children ages 2 to 5 limiting screen use to 1 hour per day. For children under 18 months, no screen time at all except video chatting. One way to encourage more reading is for parents to lead by example.
These early reading skills are quite predictive of how children will do later in school, whether they'll graduate from high school, whether they'll be successful in different aspects of adult life.
Wall says knowing that inspires her to try harder.
We've already been rotating through different books, and you can see they still love it.
And the benefits could last a lifetime. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
The screen time in this study included a range of activities, including TV, computers, and video games. In other medical headlines today, the benefits of exercising during pregnancy and a new safety check for COVID-19 vaccines. Wendy Gillette has those stories and more.
A study of more than 6 million patients finds no serious safety concerns from the Pfizer or Moderna COVID vaccines. Research funded by the CDC checked for health effects in the first 3 weeks after receiving an mRNA vaccination, including neurological and cardiovascular problems. They found no links from the vaccines. Exercising during pregnancy may be good for both mothers and their babies. A study in Norway tracked more than 800 babies and found offspring of physically inactive mothers were more likely to have lower lung function. Those children are then at a higher risk for asthma by the age of 10. And a new study looks at the health risks from e-cigarettes containing nicotine. Volunteers in Sweden were tested after taking 30 puffs from an e-cigarette. Researchers found in the first 15 minutes a 23% increase in blood clots. They also found short-term increases in heart rates and blood pressure. Those are some of the day's top health stories. Wendy Gillette, CBS News, New York.
That's a look at today's health news. A little later, someone in a Florida community took matters into their own hands when complaining about a pothole.
But in terms of weather, we didn't have anything to complain about for today. We'll see how the rest of the week's shaping up when we come back. We definitely enjoyed a pretty good Labor Day after we had quite a chilly start this morning. Let's look back over the past 36 hours. We did have temperatures starting out in the upper 50s to near 60 degrees this morning. That is quite a drop after we saw highs, very nicely by the way, back in the mid 80s yesterday. But after our kind of chilly start this morning, all this dry air in place definitely made quick work of temperatures in terms of them heating up fast. In fact, we were already to the mid 80s by lunchtime, and so far we topped out at the 90-degree mark at Joplin Regional, and easy to see why looking back throughout the entire day on the Skywatch storm tracker. Not much to show here. It's working, but all we're picking up is open blue skies and absolutely nothing on the radar network as we get this evening underway. Going down the road, though, I am tracking at least isolated storm chances at the most for tomorrow, Friday, and Sunday as we go into the coming weekend. Tomorrow, before any rain chances come in, everybody will be briefly back in the lower 90s for highs, and there will be some days where we'll enjoy highs in the mid 80s during the middle of the week before we have to go back into the heat for the coming weekend. Can't help deny, but the sky looking really good from 7th and Rangeline. 91 in Joplin, but look at that dew point at 58. It gives us a humidity of 33%. All this dry air in place can't really hold much of the sun's rays, so it's no wonder we made a quick work in warming temperatures up throughout the day. Upper 80s to lower 90s, but even with temperatures like this, the humidity's low, so it still feels pretty good to be out and about, and that goes for the rest of the evening. Once we get past sunset, though, we'll definitely notice temperatures dropping out of the 80s into the 70s. I think most of us down to 67 tonight. Looking at the bigger picture, again, not a lot happening here since high pressure, even though it's over the boot heel of Missouri now, it's still in control. Now we're just waiting for this next cold front up north to come on in. Not a lot of upper level support with it though, but there is one wave passing along the Canadian border. Some of that energy will ride right along the jet stream as that front rolls on in. So let's see how those two will play out with your future track forecast here. Obviously, needless to say, nothing to worry about for this evening, tonight. Let's say mostly clear skies going into Tuesday morning, but you see how we start mild this time around with lows around 67. I think we'll drive through much of the day, but you can see by 4 o'clock as the front starts to edge in, you can see the cloud cover start to pick up, and then faint signs of a few isolated storms trying to build up. Before we see any of that action head our way, 67 in the morning, 86 by noon, afternoon highs around 91. As we go into Tuesday evening, we'll definitely notice some isolated or widely scattered storms along the front as it passes through. Not really concerned about any severe weather, but with temperatures this warm in advance of the front, can't rule out a couple storms with some heavy rain, maybe some minor wind gusts, some very small hail. But notice how dry we are to start Wednesday and throughout Wednesday proper, and note what temperatures do behind the front, dropping back into the lower 80s for afternoon highs. So let's roll in your 7-day forecast. After we hit 91 tomorrow, 62 Wednesday morning, highs topping out around 83 degrees. We'll drop back to 59 for Thursday morning, then a quick jump to 86 on Thursday. Those are going to be nice temperatures and great days to enjoy, Chris, before we see highs back in the 90s for the weekend and a couple of week waves with maybe slight rain chances. Friday morning and Sunday morning, the bulk of the weekend, though, looking pretty good.
Yeah, this entire week is shaping up to be beautiful. I mean, we also need... Goodness gracious, you know, English escapes me, but we almost need...
I've been there before.
a Labor Day week almost to enjoy it all.
Yeah, all this dry air in place, making for comfy nights and great days as a reward.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. Well, coming up, the model American worker may be a bit older, but first, we take time to honor a local veteran. Albert Oxford served in the Army during World War II and was in the Battle of the Bulge, his hometown, Joplin. We're proud to recognize Albert Oxford, tonight's four-state hero. According to recent data, the model American worker could be someone older. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics shared a blog post examining data on the nation's workforce. The information compared the current workplace to the one in 1979. According to that data, the percentage of people aged 65 and older in the workplace has doubled over the last 40 years. The share of work being done by those 55 to 64 years old has also gone up. Economists say the U.S. labor force is now more diverse as well. The number of non-white workers on the job currently is double what it was in 1979. Women's participation in the workforce has only increased 5% to land at 47%. But economists point out the job losses during the pandemic have disproportionately impacted female workers. When you're rummaging around in your kitchen late at night, you'll be able to spot the Pringles, even in the dark. The potato chip maker is getting in the Halloween spirit with new glow-in-the-dark cans. The limited edition packaging comes in sour scream and onion and original flavors. They are available in stores now while supplies last. And for millions of Americans, Labor Day weekend is the last chance to travel before summer ends. But the holiday getaway looks different this year. CBS News transportation correspondent Errol Barnett explains.
Far more Americans are traveling this weekend compared to 2020, but in general, the travel industry is still struggling to get back onto its feet. Here are some of the latest numbers from the TSA. It estimates that roughly 3.5 million travelers passed through airports on Friday and Saturday alone. That is more than twice as many compared to last year, but it is still fewer holiday weekend flights than before the pandemic. For example, United and Delta each expected to fly about 2 million people over the long weekend, which is about 20% lower than in 2019. Now, this is partly because flights were canceled in the wake of Hurricane Ida's devastating flooding, and the spread of the Delta variant may have kept more travelers home. Cases, as we've been reporting for weeks, have been spiking across the country. Now, as this weekend winds down, many are wondering right now, when is the best time to drive home? Well, one traffic data company has a few suggestions. It says on Tuesday, it's better to wait until late evening after 9 p.m. Try and avoid traveling, they say, between 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. And gas prices in general are on the rise across the country, an increase of 96 cents compared to this time last year. Errol Barnett, CBS News at Reagan National Airport.
We got a final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, some Texas women are now traveling to surrounding states for abortions, including Kansas. Plus, how a car parts shortage could impact local dealerships through the Labor Day weekend. And a Missouri mom was hospitalized for COVID-19 and then forced to bring her baby boy into the world 14 weeks early. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News, KOAM News at 6, right after that. Well, a Florida road is known locally for its pothole problem. Residents are tired of waiting to get the roadway fixed, and someone dug in deep to get the message across. Zach Oliveri reports on one pothole's makeover.
A sight you have to see to believe.
They literally put a whole tree in the middle of the road.
You heard that right. A tree in a pothole in the middle of the road.
I pulled up and I'm like, is that really a tree in the middle of the road?
And I took 2 takes. I was like, what is this?
Me and my wife instantly just started laughing.
This is how we fix holes in Southwest Florida.
But the tree is no laughing matter, and neither is the pothole it's growing in. Cars driving down this road had to either veer left or right to get around the tree, just like they have to do if they see the pothole in time.
The tree is actually kind of make it harder to get around the next pothole that's right next to it, because I usually just drive over the pothole, but now there's a big tree. You can't drive through a tree.
Even in the rain, these guys made sure the tree stayed in place, so the message gets through. It's time to fix the potholes on this street.
I see a lot of cars that come through here and they bottom out. You know, you hear this big bang and you know, it's somebody hit a hole.
It messes up the tire, messes up the rim, and then it basically messes up your day.
Because Honda Drive is a private street, Lee County is not responsible. It's up to the private owner or owners to fix the problem.
The message is there, but unfortunately I think it's going to be up to us to try to figure out a solution in the end.
That is certainly a creative way to address the pothole situation.
Yeah,
I like that guy that messes up your tire, messes up your rim, messes up your day. He's got a point.
Yeah, like I can't imagine rim prices or tire prices getting cheaper anytime soon.
No, not at all. It's just that it amuses me.
Yeah, you get quite a kick out of it.
It was funny. I mean, that's a way to take the problem.
It really is. It's like hey, you're not going to fix a pothole, we're going to put it to use another way.
Yeah, get a good tree going out there. We got a good forecast going too.
Yes, thankfully we do. We stay with low humidity through this evening. We'll have that result in temperatures dropping back into the upper 60s. Let's go 91 tomorrow, but our next front will roll on in. We'll see if it can fire off a few thunderstorms either late in the afternoon or by tomorrow evening.
All right, Nick, thank you. That's our time for now. CBS Evening News is next. We'll be back here at 6, and thanks for making us part of your night.